on that site as part of an invitation-only event where you're playing against people who kind of, don't play there all the time, but you know them from the industry. Kind of want to see what it's like on a normal day, so I'm glad we went, really.
It is. It was really dead hot though, wasn't it?
Oh, it's boiling, man. I'm really glad I put this stuff on in the end,
Is this like your...
It's actually a set Desert DPM given to me by a mate who actually wore it in Iraq on telly.
Oh, brilliant.
It's actually Queen's Dragoon Guards, and it used to have this rank slide on, but people get all iffy about that, so I took it off. Hi there, I'm Gareth Gadge Harvey.
And I'm Tom Anvil Hibberd.
And you're watching another episode of Airsoft Action TV. Today we're going to be talking about going to Humber Airsoft, one of their open days.
It was... Gadge wanted to do some shots for a Warriors article, and we really enjoyed our last time we played there with Pilgrim Bandits, so we thought we'd go up and review one of their open days. And we had a really good time.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably one of the hottest days of Airsoft I've ever played. I took 2 camelbacks and exhausted both of them.
I went through 6 litres, I think, of water.
Yeah, it was crazy hot. And for those of you who don't know, Humber Airsoft is essentially a big quarry just outside of Hull. And we'll show you a close-up of the map in a second. And while the majority of the site is a stone quarry with a really, really good sort of like Camp Bastion sort of like fire base.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it really looks the part. The site, as you can see, is teardrop shaped, and the apex of the teardrop is kind of woodland, so you kind of get 2 sites for the price of one.
Yeah.
But the actual quarry bit of it, because it's so stark and it's just white sort of stone, it just reflects the heat. So we went there in our team kit to start off with, which is really designed for sort of temperate days. It's sort of wolf grey trousers and MTP top, that sort of thing. And I stripped off to the Desi combat gear for the Warriors shoot.
You didn't put the team kit back on again?
I didn't. I just couldn't place it. It was just so hot. But you're not here to hear us talk about the weather. So Humber Airsoft, from where we are in the Midlands, it was a bit of a drive.
About an hour and 40 minutes from Nottingham, but it was fairly direct, wasn't it? So
yeah.
M1, M18, M180, and it's actually just by the start.
To the bridge.
You
can't miss it. It's quite an easy drive. It's just not the shortest one ever. And you get there and there's decent car parking, and the safe area is pretty professional as well. I mean, since we've been there last, which is what, 4 or 5 months ago?
I think we're in April.
April, yeah.
And this is July when we're talking.
They've actually put better toilets in, a better kitchen, that sort of stuff. So, while you don't need all the bells and whistles and flushing loos and that sort of stuff.
I quite like them, really.
I like it in Airsoft site. Do you know, if I'm hot and sweaty and I want to go to the loo, I don't want to be squatting in a bush with a shovel.
Well, I spent Port losing the heat.
They stink.
So a site which has proper flushing toilets always goes down well in my book. But again, you're probably not here to talk about that either.
So we're going to talk about the gameplay and how the site's run. Quite impressed because the safety brief was pretty concise and to the point. A lot of safety briefs waffle on, go on for an hour and a half, and people start talking, especially the regulars, because they get bored.
Another thing I always like hearing safety briefs is positivity and talk about the way the game should be played, rather than about how the game should not to be played, and it's one of the things they did.
So the Marshall team, you knew they were the Marshals as well, because they had high-vis on like all Marshals do, but they'd also made sure that they all wore matching olive drab outfits, so they stood aside from the players who were mainly in MTP or black kit or whatever. It was obvious who a Marshal was from a distance, and it kind of gave a quite professional appearance.
It looked really smart. Yeah. And they weren't massively ostentatious, were they?
No. Look at all my flashy kit people.
And interesting that they were using blue high-vis as well, almost like a UN blue.
Yeah, so it's quite nice.
Which is actually what we use for our photographers.
Which is a bit confusing at times. People stop me and go, "Oh, Marshall, can you?" I was like, "No, I'm not a Marshall. I'm just taking pictures." But the other thing I liked about their Marshall team, while we're talking about that, is their first opening game we played in the day was kind of like get the bomb suitcase, find it in the area, take it to the enemy base. Now, because of some confusion on one of our teammates, when we all decided to play the first game, normally we take pictures or interview people, and one of the guys grabbed the suitcase and then ran back to his own golders basically with it. And the Marshals didn't go, "Oh no, you're doing it wrong." They went, "Oh, do you know what? That didn't quite work. We'll just go back, we'll reset, we'll do a different game." And I quite like it when Marshals don't go, "This is how I've set the game out. You will play the game I've decided you're playing." And they're available to take on new ideas.
Well, they certainly were. They were receptive, and they did explain the game mode, but it was very odd. So I'm not surprised. And it was really good. So they're really good. They, having stood nearby, quite a lot of them, taking photographs. They're always on the radios and they're always talking to each other, which is really nice.
I noticed that.
They're always communicating.
Because, I mean, again, I'm not going to knock any particular site, but I've been to sites in the past where the Marshals just stand around talking about the new gun they've bought, or having a cigarette, or they're not really paying attention. I think a good Marshal is like a good football referee. He's always where the ball is, or where the ball's going to be, and a good Marshal is always where the firefight is. Or he's always saying to another Marshal, "Hey Dave, just keep an eye out on the fire base or whatever, because there's a group of 18 guys heading that way. I know you've got some guys. I think it's going to kick off there. Make sure there's somebody on it." And I think that, to me, is the key to good Marshal. Even a Marshal for long enough.
I have, very long time. and it is about anticipating trouble before it happens, or a bit of excitement before it happens. You see someone's silly pyro, you see someone's about to throw pyro, you know they've spent £3, £4, £5 in your site shop.
You want to declare that kill,
you want to make sure that when they throw that pyro that they're getting their value for money.
And I did hear marshals all the time. So at one point,
no kills, 3
I
kills.
basically knew some guys just sneaking up on the Hesco, so I got my storm grenade out, and I knew I wasn't blind, I knew he was going to be there, so I lobbed it over exactly where I knew he was.
Yeah.
It went off, but the guy managed to duck back in time, and the marshal said no kill. Now I couldn't actually see the kill.
Yep.
I could see when I was throwing it was there, but I ducked back straight away.
Yeah.
So it's good to have that volume.
Absolutely.
He wasn't taking his hits.
Always,
not that I ever say that. You know.
No, but I've always really liked that, and I always think that's important because people are spending money, so you need to make sure things are happening.
So I mean, yeah,
it's an interesting choice of games. We did that suitcase grab. We did attack defender the firebase.
Wisely also, they alternated the games between playing on the firebase area and going into the tree line woodland area because it was so oppressively hot. So it was nice to get into the shade for a little bit. Fairly standard kind of games like capture these key points and hold them, that sort of stuff. So
domination, pushback. Yeah,
we're not looking at anything particularly like groundbreaking in the way of gameplay, but they were fun, sensible games, and they weren't as basic as capture the flag, but equally they weren't overly complicated. So you weren't going like, where do we have to get the scientists to now by this time on the clock?
It's funny, isn't it? I've talked to loads of site owners and loads of marshals, and they say if we get too complicated, everyone moans, and if we make it too simple, everyone moans, and basically everyone moans. So you kind of just have to go for a bit of a middle ground.
So I think we should talk about the terrain for a bit now. I think that leads on nicely.
Absolutely. So it's a disused kind of limestone chalk quarry.
Yeah.
It's what's really nice because it's a quarry. It's really down low, so there's very little risk.
Cuts a lot of the wind off, doesn't it?
Cuts the wind off. It also probably cuts a lot of random people coming onto the site, which is really nice. It's a real mix of terrain. So it kind of goes from woodland into banked gravel, so there's lots of fire
and then there's a bit of shrubland sort of stuff.
Some shrubland. You can go up right round the top of the cliffs.
Almost. That hillside we played on the last time.
And the hillside, we got completely
great.
stuck. And you got the main bit of the quarry itself, and then you've got the centrepiece is clearly the firebase fob fort, whatever you want to call it.
What it felt like, I'm going to use war film comparisons here. I felt that the woodland area feels like the bit of Afghanistan you see in Lone Survivor.
Yeah, when they're up in the hills. Yeah.
Whereas the firebase bit feels like Ninth Company, in that kind of really arid, desolate kind of area. And then, like I say, you've got that border in between. And in the wooded area, there's a small combat village, which is fun to play around. There's some oil drum encampments. So they spent a fair bit of time, making it feel like you had cover to get behind, things to work around, significant points you could give fire references to as well, rather than having to go, centre of my axis 50 metres, you could go, can you see that blue door on the hut? There's a guy behind that.
Well, one thing they've made a lot of use of, and we'll show you on the map in a minute, is they have loads of different respawn points. One side of the site they use colours, one other side of the site they use letters, and at the bottom of the site they use numbers. So they can actually create quite intricate games based around those.
And they're easy to see because they're all painted on the trees. Right. There's a white band around the tree with E1 or whatever written around it. And so I mean, it was quite varied. I mean, it's actually 37 acres of site, which is reasonable. It's a fair size site.
It feels a lot bigger to me.
It does.
Feels a lot bigger.
It's knackering going from one end to the other.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of uppy downy, isn't there? There's not a lot of flat. There's a lot of uppy downy and round about.
And it's definitely a boots and proper kit site.
Well, they have their insurance says no shoes.
Yeah, so don't turn up in trainers like a lot of people do. For
so games. You can. They do one really nice thing which I've never seen before, is they have rental boots.
Yeah,
which was brilliant. And fine, they have mandatory boot use, but I've still never seen such a wide array of boots.
I also thought the site hire was quite good because they do the normal thing that a lot of sites do, overalls, either DPM ones or olive ones, but also they did individual tops and bottoms at £1 each to hire if you needed them. So if you've already got your own combat trousers and just fancy a jacket, you could do that.
Yeah, well, the rental gunners get whatever kit they want from the box. Yeah. They get a chest rig, they get their high gun, which has a sling on it, so people don't drop it. So actually, I think
and didn't they get like a Beta Spetsnaz, I think,
yeah,
is the high gun. I used to have one of those for years.
Solid, so absolutely solid. It makes great sense. But I think what's really nice about that is they don't necessarily look like high gunners. No. Sometimes you turn up and everyone's using a G36 and a set of really weird DPM overalls.
Yeah.
And they look, you can kind of tell. What's quite nice is the guys blended in because they were equipped a bit better. They blended in, and they got a couple of spare mags and bits and bobs as well, which is really nice.
And overall, I found it's a small sort of checking in area, sort of like shop and take a bit. it kind of had everything you needed. If you've got, you know those days when you go out and you go, oh no, I've left my gloves behind.
My gloves, my face mask, my belt.
So there was enough extra purchases at sensible prices. It wasn't someone selling their old kit, oh, I want £200 for this tactical vest or whatever. There were actually new kits at decent store prices, you know, kind of sort of just play.
Yeah, no, it's sensible stuff. It's just not, and they have a website as well, which we'll link to in the description. The food's pretty good.
You had the burger, didn't you?
Yeah, it's pretty standard kind of hot food burger, but actually it was £4. I had a double cheese.
Double cheese.
I was trying to say cheese and bacon at the same time. Cheese and bacon burger, which was really, really nice, and I felt, you know, £4, brilliant. I was really pleased with that. Sometimes you go to sites and a bit like, really want to trust this hot dog, but actually it was really good.
Whereas I decided to go for a ration pack that I cooked under my car windshield, and you can see quite how hot it was here.
Gadge, how's your ration pack?
Well, who needs Hexy, Tom? Literally, this has been my dashboard of my car for about an hour, and it's hotter than a flameless cooker.
And that's about
boiling it would do it. Yeah, I literally have to hold it by the edges because it's red hot.
So that's how hot it is today.
Yep.
Yeah, that nearly burned your hands, didn't it?
It was literally too hot to touch.
That shows you how hot the day was. Fun, it was inside a car, but it was pretty mental.
But I mean, Humber Airsoft, it's not going to be my local site because it is a bit of an extensive drive and it is a bit wearing when you after the day driving back was tiring.
A bit tired, didn't we?
But special occasions, a decent site. And if you are in the York, sort of like north of England, that sort of area,
yeah, Lincolnshire,
highly recommend it.
Really good place.
I wish it was more local, to be honest. I think I play more often.
Yeah, the terrain is brilliant. There's a couple of quarries in the UK, but it's pretty unique, and I think that firebase really is. It's worth the trip.
Just to play on that.
Just a trip to play over the firebase.
So, if we're going to say facilities, I'd say they're pretty damn good.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Car parking's sorted.
Yeah, safe car parking, easy to get. Site access is easy. It's not driving down a particularly bumpy track, wrecking your suspension for ages.
It's not in the middle of nowhere.
Gameplay design was above average.
Yeah, pretty standard.
Very varied terrain. It wasn't boring in any way.
No.
New player higher gun and keeping new players under their wing was really good.
Yeah, well they do, and they do a specific high gun brief. They do a separate high gun brief as well, which is good. And
the marshals were actually spot on. Another thing they were good at as well, because it was so hot. Quite a few people, after lunchtime, 3 or 4 people went, by about 2, a few more people
There's
went.
a lot of people going down with heat stress.
Yeah, so the marshals were on top of that. They were constantly adjusting the teams and saying, would you mind going over to bands or whatever, just to even up the sides.
And a few of them started playing as well, just to keep the impetus going.
And there were still quite a few players there at the end of the day, but we maybe lost like maybe 10 or so, you know, like over the course of it. Maybe a bit more.
Absolutely roasting. And
so you can't blame them for going
as
on.
much as airsofters think they're in the army, they really are. The other thing is they got a load of water bottles out and
they were giving away free water, which is really switched on.
They were making sure everyone knew before games that people to get hydrated or to take water out with them, so they were definitely on the ball.
But also changing the scenarios to take into account they'd lost players.
Yeah, and we also went into the woods a bit more because it was getting people really getting roasted.
I would recommend though, if you do go to the woods in summer, even though it's a particularly dry site, take mosquito repellent. So I got bitten to bits out there. I've been scratching for 3 days now. So I wouldn't have thought that because there's absolutely no water whatsoever on that site. You wouldn't have thought it was a mosquito haven. But
yeah, it could have been any bitey insects. But no, we really liked it anyway. So we're going to go back at some point. We really enjoyed it.
I mean, at some point, I think I'd like to run my own event there one day.
Yeah, well, they do private. They do hire as well. So if you want to,
a birthday party or something,
a birthday party, or you wanted a site for something you're planning, get in touch with them as well. They're pretty good, pretty decent rates, and they don't need that many numbers. But again, you can talk to them about that. See it on the website.
I think Humber Airsoft, Airsoft Action seal of approval.
Seal of approval.
Yeah. So if you want to know more about Humber Airsoft, I've also done a paper review in Airsoft Action magazine, and you can read that in the current issue. And we'll just timestamp that at the bottom for you now, so you know if you're watching in the future that you've missed it. But keep tuned to our channel because we're looking at loads of airsoft sites around the UK, hopefully in Europe as well in the future, maybe even in the States. If you want to see a particular site you think we should have a look at, leave us a comment. Tell us your favourite site. Tell us what site you think we really, really have to go to before we die, you know, or even die playing it.
What do you think about Humber Airsoft? Have you played there? And have you got structures in your site like theirs? I've been Tom, Anvil Hibberd.
I've been Gareth, Gadge, Harvey.
Please like, subscribe, ding that bell, and we'll see you next episode.